Welcome to Tech and Heels with our host, Rita.
Hi, Liliana. Thank you so much for accepting the invitation to participate in my podcast. So, I want to get to know you being a founder, and I know also that you're a scientist. So, tell us a little bit.
Thank you, Rita, also for the invite. As you said, I'm Liliana Antão. I have a strong background in research. My path is a bit rocky, like let's call it like that. I started in biomedical engineering, doing a bachelor. Once I finished the bachelor, I was like, this is not exactly what I want. I love the healthcare component, the health context, but I really enjoyed programming. I really enjoyed electronics, and I really did not enjoy anatomy, physiology, biochemistry. Everything that was more related to biology was not my jam, but I enjoyed the technology side of it. So I went to an integrated master's in the Faculty of Engineering of University of Porto in electronical and computers engineering. So more in the programming path, electronical path that I enjoyed more in biomedical engineering. There I specialized in robotics, where my path in AI started. So I went through my master thesis was focused on AI for human collaboration with robots. I was trying to get robots to adapt to the stress and fatigue level of operators. So I was already in the part of caring about humans with AI, which is my main jam, let's call it like that. And once I finished my master thesis, I stayed in research. Like you said, I really enjoyed the component of getting to know what was the state of art in technology, what the core scientists were doing to evolve the area of artificial intelligence.
Yeah, it's just, I think people sometimes think that if you are a scientist, you are only doing research and you are in a laboratory or in an office situation. But if you are a scientist, you can do that and you can have another job or you can have a project of your own or a company, even like you. So I want also to share that with the public because I also have a background in health and I also used to be in laboratories and I changed to tech. I know what is continuing the path of research.
Yeah, research is not let's say it's not something isolated. For instance, in my research lab, we do applied research. So I have been doing research already applied in companies like Stellantis that manufactures cars, like Peugeot, Citroën. We did things with like clothes companies also manufacturers. So we were very close in that component. There's a slight nuance in what you said is that, for instance, if you have a contract with a faculty, sometimes you have exclusivity. So
Mhm. Yes.
receive from the other parts, but you can found them, you can work on them, you can build yourself and
Your business, like you, if you even have like that contract with the university, if it's not competitive, like in the same field, you can have your own business and you can build anything.
as long as you don't have a contract with exclusivity, which was my case in the beginning. If you are doing research just in the lab, closed, just writing papers and doing lab work, I feel like you are very disconnected from the reality of the companies.
Yeah.
I was very lucky that my lab was not like that.
Oh,
Maybe in the more health and biology component, maybe it's more distant. I don't know.
yeah, it is.
And I really feel like you should do that. So just to finish my path, I was in research for 1 year. Then I enrolled in my PhD in informatic engineering, all focused in artificial intelligence in a small component called reinforcement learning that I can expand a bit on later. But then COVID came, and I
Mhm.
3 years deep into, no, 2.5 years deep into my PhD. But with COVID, money was tight on my family as a general. And one of the downsides of research is the payment is not great, right? It's a value that is established nationally and you cannot increase from that value. So I had to leave. I went to be a consultant at Deloitte for 1.5 years. Then I left there and I went to be a data scientist in a Dutch company called Deus.ai. And then I was like, okay, this is not for me. I tried companies, I tried consulting. I really enjoyed research. And in companies, it's very, very rare that you can actually research and do innovation because you want money, right? So that's it. You are business driven.
When you have that in a company, they really bet on it. That's kind of what I have the
Yeah.
sense of.
But I feel like you can only bet on the innovation when you are already in a huge company, like for instance, Sword Health has a huge innovation department because they already have a lot of money. They can bet on innovation to be on the forefront. On consulting companies, you usually don't bet on innovation. You
Yeah.
just to close the deals. And so I understood that was not for me. I came back to university, and then that's how Medtiles was born. Basically, we had a challenge from a neurologist from a hospital here in Porto Matosinhos that saw some of the things that we were doing with generative AI.
How do they saw? Like, where do they catch you? Like in a
So we already knew each other from personal components, and we talked a lot about what we do. Like, she talked about her consultations, patients, and the problems and issues with the national healthcare system. As we know, we have a lot of them, unfortunately. And we were talking about what we have been developing to speed up access to information, to allow people to understand better concepts. And she was like, I need that. I need that. Stroke care is huge. We do a lot of training in stroke care because you need to be as fast as possible to enable people to not have.
you need good onboardings, basically. Yeah.
If you imagine onboardings on companies, imagine onboardings on stroke care teams, where each minute you lose 2 million neurons if you don't take care of the patient fast. So
Yeah.
for you to actually procedure is really, really key. And that's how our main product tutor from Medtiles was born from that challenge. We tried to build something that allowed healthcare professionals from neurologists, cardiologists, nurses, technicians to actually understand procedures in the treatment and care of the patients. And that's how we started building our product. And yeah, basically, this is the beginning. Let's call it like this.
Put in a more simplified way, you help healthcare professionals understand the technical parts of the surgery when they're doing the surgery.
More or less, we are not focused on the surgery component. So what we do, I'll tell you very clearly the mission of Medtiles. So what we want is to facilitate the access and generation of medical information for healthcare professionals. So how do we do this? Very easily. We use generative AI to allow to deconstruct concepts in terms of a search and assistance like the typical chatbots that allow you to get access to correct information, because that's key for us. Correct information, corrected information, because healthcare, if you go to the wrong page,
Trying to pick that later. Yeah.
really tricky because I don't know if you are from the health component, so you may already know this, but basically you have guidelines in different areas. You have European guidelines, American guidelines, national guidelines. And if you go to ChatGPT and ask something, the answer, you don't know exactly where it comes from. And
I worked in personalized medicine and we had to collect data from labs and healthcare systems from different countries. And there are countries that don't have things digitally.
Yep.
So even like the data itself, it's not existing. So how can like ChatGPT give if they don't have even the data, just the half pieces from one place to the other?
last week we were in an event in Cape Verde in Portuguese, and their national system is, if we think ours is outdated.
No, I know.
they are-
That voluntary work there and it's awful. Yeah.
So when we introduce what we have, for them, it's way ahead of what is even possible. When I present my tales, I never say we only have tutor our education platform. I never say that because we construct layers to be able to facilitate the access, like I said, in our mission for the healthcare professionals in any component. And then we can integrate in the platform.
Because that's where I went to ask. So I saw that you have there like an academy and you have also tutor. From what I understood, tutor is to train teams. So the healthcare team is that are going to use your product. And then the tutor is someone that can work with you or do your course.
Tutor is our platform that allows any healthcare professional or institution to enroll their students and educators to train not only healthcare teams, but also students who are enrolled in medicine and nursing. We can use our tutor to generate realistic scenarios for you to, like we usually say,
This is an AI tutor.
the AI that teaches. What we do is we create realistic scenarios for you to turn theory into practice, which is really, really key in healthcare, right? Because you can know all the theory in the world. If you don't know to put it to practice, it doesn't matter. So we actually have a very strong role there of the educator. The educator needs to be a person that knows the content that you want to teach, because there are some nuances. For instance, very small example. If you are in Évora in the hospital, you may need to train better professionals to care for the elderly, because most of the population is older. But if you are in Porto, you may need to train for younger people, right? This
Yeah.
small nuance, or even in every, you may not have access to the same equipment, to the same medication that you have in Porto. These nuances, our tutor is able to translate that to the team, to actually make you learn what you need to learn according to our educator. This is our tutor. What we do in our academia, let's say it's one of our pillars, is like you saw in Geek Girls. One of the things that is really important and key is everybody now is using AI, right? Everybody's integrating AI, even in toothbrushes, you have AI everywhere. Now it's even to a point where it's exhausting. But
Yeah, no, it's true.
I can feel that although everybody's using AI, most of the people don't understand how it works or its limitations. And once this goes to healthcare, this is even worse because most of the doctors don't really understand the.
No, that I think healthcare professionals are very bad with technology normally.
Yeah,
No.
exactly. Now put AI in this and you don't know the limitations and you may affect the health and outcome of the life of someone. So what we do with academia is we typically do two types of courses: data science basics and generative AI course, where we go to congresses like cardiology congresses, pediatrics congresses, private hospitals, departments, and we teach those courses just to make them more aware of the limitations of those technologies, which tools you can use, how to use it, not even related to our products. This is, let's say,
Like a spring fundaments, yeah, situation.
exactly. Just because we really feel like once we roll in this mission with Medtiles, we don't want people to use our products just because it's AI or just. We really believe in AI for good. We really believe in human-centered and human-in-the-loop AI. So for
Yeah.
that to happen, which I do believe it's the future, we need people to understand how to use it and the limitations and when not to use it, because most of the people are using it when they really, really shouldn't.
Yeah, I know it's true. Like you maybe only need an assistant and you want to build like an AI app, you know? It's because they don't understand. Like I'm personally taking a course about AI and I thought I understood something and I after and I have so many classes of the course I understood I know nothing. But now it's so exciting to understand how everything works. And after your workshop, I got like a perspective that I never had before because you talk about many patterns that were so interesting of agentic AIs. And this was very key for me to understand some things I'm going to learn ahead.
For instance, I did a talk last week in Lab Summit. It's a huge conference of laboratories. And one of the things that I understood from the feedback of the people that were in the talk is that most of them is already trying to learn about agentic without even understanding the basis of generative. So if you don't know that behind agentic there's a large language model, LLM, that has the limitations that it has, for instance, is stochastic. Like you may ask the same question 3 times, you get 3 different answers sometimes. If you don't understand just this nuance, you don't know the risks that you are taking with agentic and trying to integrate that into your product, into your platform, into your personal use. You need to understand those layers to then being able to apply correctly things.
Even if people really understand about AI, in my opinion, for example, you can even do a personalized assistant for your emails. You know, instead of them having generic replies from emails, how you should be your email, just like for your tone or for your type of email tone, like I prefer professional, I prefer colleague. Just this, you know, it's different if you have your own made assistant that when you have the generic one.
Yeah, one of the keys is, I don't know if you know this in the AI area now. I may be a bit controversial here, but everybody now is a AI engineer. Everybody in tech now is. But I do believe that most of them are not AI engineers, are software integrators. They integrate with APIs and comes to the point that you were saying, which is if you use a general tool and you integrate something general, you'll get a general context, a general answer. If you try to use the correct design patterns, if you try to use your personalization, if you adapt to your context, then you get to the point where AI is actually helpful and not only doing something that.
People forget about testing. They don't even, I think, really understand the jobs that are being created now. And that's why people are so scared because they think AI is going to replace them. I don't think that's true. This is also controversial, but I don't think that's true. I think they're going to build more jobs that we still don't know which ones they are going to be. And this is very frightening for humans. But for example, QA for AI, this is like a job that I think it's going to be there, like UX design open, in the past. And now, like, for example, the people that are learning like the basics, like me, I know some key types of tests or questions that I can make for judging. But of course, that if it's a bigger, a complex product, there will be more things that we need to do, especially regarding data privacy, which brings me to the other question. You are in an area that is very dangerous, that in finance, I think the worst areas. When I say worst is because it have to be very brave, in my opinion, to talk about something there with the certainty, because many people always doubt you, and there are a lot of breaches. In cybersecurity is also something that is not very developed because people don't like to pay for supposedly. That's why I think your company, it was so interesting. It was the first time that I heard about a company like this, and even more Portuguese company. And I also want to mention that I saw the founders and I thought they were very balanced because there were two women, one for the health, one for the scientist, and two men, one for the health and one for the scientist. And this made me so happy because usually it's never balanced.
We really try for that. So even right now we are a bit on expansion of our team. We have developers, we have finance. We are starting very small startup, right? We are not even 2 years old, but we try even in those roles to balance it out. We really do believe it's very important to have this balance and allow people to have the opportunities, not even only among genders, but even about
The quiet branding stuff that people subconsciously notice. And I think that's what's going to be branding in the future, is when you don't say,
Yeah.
I use red, and that's no, it's like, okay, I'm talking about your company. I'm giving the spotlight to your company. That's more appealing than saying that I use red. But I also loved your website. Like I do websites and I do UX, and I saw your website and I thought I would do this here. They even put a call to action there. Like exactly in the spot that I would put it. Like I loved your website. It was very simple, very specific, very understandable, and very user friendly.
Thank you so much.
To go and check it out, the website, if you can. But yeah, I really loved it. And you are the one that did it, right?
Me and João, yes, me and João. Because if you read or anyone that may listen wants to start a startup, just be aware that you'll do everything.
Yes, that's true.
Once you start a startup is you are how you say in Portuguese, papa toda a colher, right? So
You know, hold the heads.
yeah,
Yeah.
it fits to every role. So I never did the website. João has more background in software engineering, so we did the backbone of it, and then we started doing the design behind it to try to fit
Where did you did it? Like in what tool?
at Squarespace. We use the default template, and then we created some things with HTML, and then designs we used Canva. So it's
Nice.
right. We try to fit pieces that fit into a startup budget.
But I think it's the first time that I'm hearing Squarespace for a
Yeah.
company website.
Yeah.
This is very interesting because I always hear Squarespace for portfolio.
Because it works very well for product. Like for product, their template is very product driven, but you can adapt it, like you saw.
Yeah,
And yeah, it works. It works fairly well. But thank you so much for the
I really like it.
feedback because for us it was like, let's try our best.
It's perfect, and it's exactly like you only need one thing to be trendy, which is the AI bot here. That's the only thing. But to be trendy, you don't need it really. Okay, so now I want you to talk a little bit about yourself. What did you struggle most? What give you more joy?
I'm very curious by nature. So because of that, my brain tends to try to jump between things. So you may say, oh, then you are great in startups because you need to do several things at the same time. But the thing is, once you get to a part where you really need to focus, since I'm like innovation driven, I would love to then explore a new thing and explore a new thing. And when you need to switch to the business side of it, you need to focus on making it work financially. It's something that I'm struggling because
Usually it's better when you can find a founder that's more business and one founder is more creative.
And that's where I think our team balances well, because one of our clinicians has a lot of experience in building the companies and hospitals and private clinics. So it's very business driven, even from the technology side of it. Since I'm always interested in how AI is evolving so fast, I want to learn the next big thing and the next big thing and the next big thing. And once you are building a product that needs to work, like you said, in a very regulated environment, you cannot pursue that. You need to stop, make sure that everything is working 100% on this, drill everything, make sure that everything is safe. And then in your downtime, instead of sleeping, you can export it.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's one of the things that I've been struggling because I feel like I was born for research. I like to explore things. I like to learn new things. I love neuroscience and understanding why do you like that and why do you want it to go from the tech side, from the outside to the tech side? Why did you go to agentic AI workshop? I love to try to understand you as a person, try to understand your reasoning. I struggle a bit with trying to
Slow down.
slow down and try to focus really on just one thing. I tend to have a lot of things in parallel working. I work best with like when this happens, when I have more than one thing in my plate, because if I
It's
only have one thing,
yeah,
I
it's
don't
so
focus.
it's you need you kind of need a kind of pressure, a healthy
Yeah,
pressure.
exactly. Not only pressure, variety. I feel we are now in an area where attention spans are very short, right? And it's really hard for us to stay focused in long content. Everybody now does short content because of that.
I was thinking, how can I cut this podcast episode? Because it's so long, it's so interesting, but people will not want to hear more than 25 minutes, you know?
That's it. Because of that, how can you make people pay attention? Even myself, how can I make myself pay attention to one topic in a long timeline, right? And I was never like that. And now with the propagation of short attention span, I'm even worse. So it's something
Sure.
that I have been struggling because once you start a company, you need to make
You
sure
need
that
to yeah, you need to know how to focus, and that's hard, I think. When I ask you about what you struggle more, I understand that's one of the things, but what did you do? Like, for example, do you have like a morning routine, something that's like kind of like a deal breaker if you don't do that, like
yeah.
meals or whatever, you know?
Like I said, I really enjoy neuroscience. And I know, like, I analyze what I'm not doing well and I create a routine to make it better. I'm very organized.
I love patterns and routines, so
I'm the type of person that tries to propagate patterns. So, for instance, in the personal components, I try exercise to make sure that I can concentrate later. My mornings is like I need to go and I need at least 1 hour before the meetings kick in to organize my schedule. And this is where my agentic AI system comes in. I already have one built in that basically every
that's what
morning
I'm going to do. I'm going to do that.
Every morning, I receive an email from my agent that scans my calendar, scans my emails, scans my Slack, scans my Notion to check which tasks I still haven't done, which emails I haven't replied,
And
which matches I haven't replied, which presentation I need to do, and makes me a prioritization list. So in the morning, I already have a checklist to do. This way helps me a lot with my focus because I want to do everything. I want to explore everything. Now I know these are the criticals. Let's do it.
no, I love that. That's what I'm trying to build, like another me in a short way. But yeah, and I think that's really interesting. For me, I really like sleeping, so I have to sleep. I don't know because I can be without eating or whatever, but if I don't sleep, I don't work basically. So for me, I really try to get the 7 hours at least.
Always like you always needed a consistency or yeah.
I'm still struggling with this because sometimes there are weekend with some birthdays or whatever, and this kind of goes to the drain. But then the point is like you have to go back on the horse. That's the point here. Liliana, I want to ask you one last question. It is, what would you say to a younger self about the struggles that you are facing and what you should be paying more attention?
I would start doing AI even younger to be honest. I know
Me
this
too.
this is like, oh, what are you saying? You started like AI when you were 20, but yeah, I would start younger. More this component of generality because AI is a whole world. If you go to a spectrum, there's a whole
Yeah.
other things. And besides that, I would start a company sooner also. I tried too much to work for other people. I tried too much to chase, chase after money and status, and you get to a point where this isn't making me happy. It's not the thing. So once you get that click, it's really cool.
Like a phrase that I love, which is like, if you're not working towards your dream, someone is going to pay you to work on theirs. I'm going to work, like spend my time, my life, my energy to build someone else's dream for what? A retirement that is not going to exist.
Exactly. But even for that, it's like
It's a retirement. People like they sold us the dreams. Like you're going to school, you're going to have a nice job, you're going to have a house, a husband, whatever. But the truth is, nothing is going wars. We have pandemics. Like nothing is going well. So I think we should kind of revise the concepts of working, the concepts of building, and the concept of retirement. Because for example, someone that has a company, they say they work because it's like a verb. It's not like something they do, I think. Because for me, like I'm not waiting for the weekend to rest. I'm waiting for the weekend so I can work more and stuff that I like.
And
You
just picking up what you were saying about we need to revise the concept, I do believe that this shift with agentic AI is going to make us revise the
Yeah.
concept. So maybe there's a good opportunity here to actually chase that purpose, like human purpose. What am I meant to do?
You know why? Because AI comes connected with something that we sometimes forget, which is time, the value of time. So AI comes attached to this mainly in people that are from the lower class are always working. That's why they are in the lower class. They never had time to stop and think about this.
Yeah.
But because AI is arriving, they can start thinking about this. And this is going to open the door for the main population. That's why I think that you are so right about this.
If we do it right, because there's two paths. One is really good, and humankind will be marvelous because of these shifts. And the
I think
other,
we're going to always do some errors. The goal here is not doing irreversible errors.
but that's the thing, because most of the big players in the AI component may not have the better intentions right now. You may ask me this one day and I'll be very optimistic. You ask me this the other day and I'll be like, we are doomed. There's a shift there. I don't know.
No, I agree. I totally agree. Especially if we are women and we have hormones. So we are always have that tendency to be more optimistic or less,
Yeah.
which is something that we should also integrate in companies. I talk a lot about this. I met like a girl in Web Summit and she has a company. She was in the startup boots, and she has a company. She only works with women, but that's a choice. According to their week menstruation cycle, they do certain things, more detailed things for 1 week, more social things for another week, In this, I think it's great. It's
Yep.
really great.
For instance, I adapt my workout schedule.
I was thinking about the AI. The AI is telling you, like in the summary,
Yeah. Like right now you are in this phase, so please be careful with
avoid this, avoid this.
Yeah, let's give it context to that. I can integrate it with my cycle app, I guess. So maybe it's a thing that we can have. Yes.
Okay, Liliana, thank you so much for coming. I really like hearing everything about you. I think you're going to come back when you have scaled your company.
So thank you so much, and I hope you make it also in your dreams.
Thanks for listening, and see you in the next episode.